Hello and welcome back to my channel, and we're back in Wildlands. Yes, I know we've been here too many times to be fair, but today we have a reason. We actually have 4070 Ti and 32 gigs of RAM. So it's time to take this game for a spin and see how it actually works and, well, looks, to be fair. So this video is going to be of multiple parts because here's a pro tip. Well, I wouldn't even call it a pro tip. It's more like, you know, an advice. I don't think this game really wants to run on 60 frames 4K to begin with. I've seen some videos out on YouTube with people with very interesting setups achieving 60 frames 4K, and they never show the settings they use. You know, whatever, benefit of the doubt, they just don't see that as an important factor. I do. So let's have a look-see. First and foremost, we're going to full screen native 4K. Resolution scale is 1. So this is basically 4K, okay? No vertical sync, frame rate limit is off. Everything else is pretty much as it should be, apart from extended FOV, which is cranked up to 60%. Because at 0, well, you're basically playing God of War here. When it comes for the graphics, we're going with the Ultra preset. And to be fair, after all the years of playing Wildlands, I would say there's very little settings that actually change the performance of the game. And you're gonna see what I mean. Let's run a benchmark for this one, and I'll show you the synthetic benchmark results and how the game actually runs in real life, so to say, because the results are very interesting. And also, the one trick I picked up is a little bit interesting as well. So as you can see now, we're currently at 99% of GPU usage, pulling 8.9, well, 9 gigs of video memory and nearly 10 gigs of actual RAM. We're about 50-ish, 50, 60-ish frames, depending on a scene. Now, granted, as you know, I don't see the point of using temporal anti-aliasing or anti-aliasing to begin with in 4K, but just for the sake of argument, we're going to be running this in 4K so you can see the actual difference. And as you can see, as this synthetic benchmark progresses, we are dropping frames. CPU usage is relatively high, GPU is always maxed out. And let's see what we actually average out here on. And this is going to be pretty interesting. So despite the fact that I'm recording, the game says 60 frames, even though we actually dropped down as low as 48, and I can almost pinpoint where it happened. So here's the fun fact. I actually moved myself over to Kaimani's because it's, I would say, one of the most dense areas in the game, and we're gonna have a look at the actual in-game performance, because this is where I would say synthetic benchmarks are kind of getting a little bit irrelevant, at least for Ubisoft titles, because synthetic benchmark essentially says, oh, you're about to hit barely 60-ish frames in real life, and let's see how much we're gonna get in actual game. Boom. We're at 70. GPU usage 9.6 gigs, we're pulling 10 gigs of actual RAM, and while recording in native 4K, and I'm doing this with well, GeForce Experience, to be fair, I don't have a capture card, we are absolutely fine. You know, yeah, granted, we dropped as low as 59, 60-ish, but then again, you know, this is absolutely playable. And that is the most important thing. And this is all the settings cranked. So, theoretically, 4070 Ti can easily play this game, 60 frames, 4K Ultra, everything maxed out. Now here's the fun thing. How you can get free performance, I would rather say. Despite the fact that, you know, you might be sacrificing some visual eye candy. If you go for the video settings and you reduce resolution scaling to 90. So this is technically below 4K. I would not even try a wild guess how much we're rendering this in now. Let's apply this. We're still on ultra settings. Let's run a benchmark. And you're gonna see a funny thing. The moment the in-game resolution drops below 4K, you get very significant gains in terms of performance. Even right now, we actually at like 60 frames. GPU usage is 8.4 gigs, so we're not pulling 10, which is great. So if you have 3070 Ti or 3070, you're absolutely fine. Still 10 gigs of RAM, but the frames are way above 60. And we're still technically 4K. And honestly, if someone asked me, can you spot a difference in graphical fidelity while I'm running a synthetic benchmark, and honestly, I've seen this thing more than I would want to admit. I cannot really tell you, oh yeah, I can clearly see a pixel out of place. So, all things considered, this is not too bad. Now, take this into the consideration. While we were doing a full native 4K, 1x resolution, we were getting about 70-ish frames. So 60, dipping down to 59, usually about 62, okay? So if we go in the same place, right? No other settings are changed. If we load back in where we were, we're gonna see how much we're gonna be getting here. And this is important. This is why I'm not cutting my videos, so people don't think I'm stitching them up. Almost nearly 80 frames. 8.8 gigs of video memory, 10 gigs of RAM. Let's move around. And we're not dropping below 60. I mean, how the hell is this not playable? And this is, again, just to reiterate the point. We are with Ultra preset, so I would definitely, if it was my opinion, I would turn off anti-aliasing. I would reduce draw distance. I would definitely reduce level of detail. Anisotropic filtering would be turned off. But the fun thing is, these two settings does not really contribute to the end game performance. You're gaining about 2 to 4 frames tops in 4K, because the resolution that you're processing from the GPU and you're pushing through, at that point, this is not exactly the major impact on your performance. Vegetation shadows is the biggest one. Turf effects, negotiable. Motion blur, absolutely zero. Ironside's depth of field, 0. High fidelity depth of field, 0. Bloom, to be fair, you should be leaving it on anyways. Guard rays, negotiable. Subsurface scattering, negotiable. Lens flare, definitely leave it on. Trust me, you can make pretty cool screenshots in the game. Long range shadows, yes, this is a major factor for the performance. If you turn this off, game looks like shit. Let's be honest here. It loses all the shading on the dark parts. You're not getting the actual lay of the land. You see just nearly a static 2D. But just with reducing the game rendering from 1x to 0.9, which is technically you are rendering the game below 4K native, look at the goddamn gains you're getting. This is amazing. I mean, you can operate like this until your hands give out. And this is while recording. Now, granted, obviously, if you play multiplayer or you're streaming the game, this is the performance you're gonna be getting anyway, but end of the game, I would say, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So let's just get the drone up. Look at this. Just soak in the view. Enjoy the view? Good. Because this is exactly what you're getting. That's glorious. Look at all the little details. The shadows, the twitchy leaves. All of this. I don't know. You're playing in 4K? Go to options, go to video. Play around with resolution scaling. Keep your eye candy on ultra if you want. I would say high is absolutely fine, but hey, you wanna have this ultra feeling in your stomach, go here. Resolution scaling down to 80. Let's go as far as 70. How about them apples? Just for the sake of argument. This is definitely not 4K. I would say this is closer to 2K. 100 frames. DirectX 11. GPU usage 7.8. Pulling RAM close to 10 anyway. 100 frames. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. You want to overclock your GPU, overclock CPU, overclock your RAM? Go ahead. Feel free to do it. It's absolutely fine. I think this is what the videos on YouTube is showing people to do. Like, oh, this is exactly the thing, but I would rather say, you don't need all of those shenanigans. You can just do this and have exactly the same things. Also, I managed to hit that plane in mid-flight. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.